viewer next question. Is it view?
Oh, it's not my fault. It's the stupid Raichu number 372 here. It's his fault.
Who knew? All it took to get here was the misgender form.
His interactions with the contestants. His interactions.
Bro, now.
Where the hell did the time go? It doesn't feel that long since I took a look at this BFDI spin-off. But since then, it feels like everything happened at once. For one, as I was making that video, B.F.B split up into two. B.F.B itself concluding, a new series branching off in its wake, and to top it all off, B.F.D goddamn IA suddenly premiering new episodes again? Man! How did Nikolai kill myself? That's not even mentioning the channel itself growing in size, now hosting 2 million subscribers, and the offshore community only growing by the numbers, and a whole host of new series that could even rival the GOAT itself. I'm just show 87.
Raichu's 3007. What was it?
Okay, needless to say, a lot has happened. What the hell does Alona think? Well, I conclude a little remarkable reviews of this audio quality and me insulting the GOAT Fiery Jr. Think I'm gonna show my face in this town again? I barely gained residence, yet I act like I owned the joint. I didn't even know what the hell a 1 was, yet 16-year-old me is gonna tell you how to make your intros good? Nowadays, I'm content to keep to the sidelines, watching the GOATs do their thing while being closeted amongst my friends. As closeted as one can be, having this be my most third popular video. You know, and this is where I showed up. And well, I guess you could say I relapsed a tad. A tad bit. So, what the hell? I haven't posted anything else this year, and I'm already working on a video about another Survivor parody. So let's take a look-see where these jackasses have been cooking. Starting with...
Call me Vigoroth, because this season makes me feel Vigor neutral. But seriously, back in 2018, I was a certified BFB hater. I was so bona fide that I was dry bones. Ow, my bones. But not anymore, But to throw this season of dry, it actually ages way better than what I initially gave it credit for. For some history with a twistery, back in 2013, I see this quirky show with a sponge and a starfish. Except there was no starfish. I lied. And you should feel bad. I thought it was pretty cool, and I became a fan. But then, everything changed when it ended. No, but actually, I think the reason why they stopped making BFDIA is because their AdSense account expired and school and shit got in the way. I can read about what actually happened, but I don't like reading. I can barely read this script. I'm not well read. Help, read! You swine! Then IDFB came out, and I was a book. Also 14. And I hated it. I hated it so much. And I thought, man. Or woman. They had all this time and the assets to continue BFDIA, but then this comes out. And like, I don't mean to sound ungrateful because I know how much time and energy goes into animating at all to begin with, right? And I don't mean to trigger the hardcore BFDI fans, like God forbid, but like, come on, nothing happens in this episode. Then suddenly, out of where, BFB came out. Battle for bitches. But I didn't have any, so I hated everyone. Especially you, Billy. I quickly became BFB phobic. But to be real for a minute, the transition between BFDI to BFB was rough. It wasn't as welcoming to go to this 25-episode, 20-plus character-focused show to this doodle-based, seemingly under-ambitious cast of 64 show. It was a lot to take in. For one, let's be fair. There are way too many goddamn characters, to the point where nobody gets consistent screen time, except for like Donut, or Bubble, or Lollipop. Also a plot with so many holes, it would make a good imitation for this hole. These randos just suddenly know all the veteran characters. Leafy is here with no explanation since this was pre-hiatus BFDIA. Woody's alive. They still haven't recovered him, by the way. I'm not over this. What the f*** are you people holding out for? No one has bothered recovering Woody. No one has given it a second thought. Or third. Or fourth. Or fifth. I'll keep counting until you recover him. Don't think I won't. Since BFDIA was still on hiatus, this season felt like one big plot hole in the BFDI lore. I can't believe I just said that. What the f am I reading? I stopped watching the show at about episode 7, the one where Loser was eliminated. I eventually watched the whole show years later, but there were a few things that stuck out to me prior to the rewatch. Those being the show's polarizing animation, which I really don't mean to harp on as much as I have, because I think judging something on just design is like judging a book by its cover. But I just said I'm a book. You're not listening. This isn't about me! And the second was Pencil's characterization.
Oh no! Pencil. Pencil.
This was the point that really put me off, even if she was eliminated first. Like, bro, what happened? The Pencil fall-off arc was insane. When you put it into perspective, Pencil went the longest in Season 1 without ever being voted for, to being the first out in the biggest cast the show has ever had. Her random cruelty also just comes completely out of nowhere, since there were no transition points between BFDIA and B.F.B. yet. By the way, I want to touch on this. Pencil and TPOT keeps bitching every episode about how she was stuck in a classroom for 6 years. But like, so was Live, and you don't hear her constantly bitching about it. Anyway, like I said, I decided last year to rewatch the show just to spite old me. And the show isn't perfect, but it's entertaining, at the very least. That's the one thing it never failed to be. They've probably had the idea for BFB for years, so they've had a lot of time to let their ideas marinate, like a nice steak. A lot of challenges in later pre-split, like the flower stair scene and the lava two-parter, are actually really visually stunning in spite of the minimalist animation they went with. And they can accomplish that nowadays in BFDIA, but not without a dedicated team of animators. For a while, in the animation department, it was just Michael and Satomi, and sometimes Karen. Like the alphabet, you know, A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes... Like I said, it had to be very difficult to develop this larger cast, which is why they had to split it in the first place. But there are moments that make up for BFDIA supposedly getting canned. Like, I don't like Loser at all. I think he, actually is a loser. Fuck that guy. He's my arch enemy, and a waste of a slot in post-split, to be frank. But I'm not frank. And if you think I am, you're wrong. But if there's one thing he actually contributed, it's the losers gave Pin and Coiny a chance to connect a little more. Also, I like how Fiery and Coiny are on the same team and, they don't make a big deal out of it. I don't think they even acknowledge it, even once. Flower actually has a really strong redemption arc. I don't know if Lotus talked about this yet. I haven't read his part of the script, but if he has...
Get fucked!
I never would have expected this from a show that, treats their plot beats second. But no, Flower in the end is actually really entertaining and grows a lot as a character. And my boy Woody finally faces up to some of his fears. He's probably still afraid of the color gray, but so am I, so I relate to him. And even some BFDIA characters get a lot more to do, like Donut and Gelatin. I guess to wrap this all up, I was wrong. I'll take the L and the Yagami. Anyway, call me Woe Bunch, because I'm gonna get some Woe lunch.
Daddy!
What?
This is funny.
Well, if you do like it, you can go f*** yourself.
So apparently this is one of those controversial eras, one that caused the show to slump and the creators to lose their touch. What is happening right now? Who wrote this type shit?
You know the vibes.
And the reason I found this odd is that I remember liking it fine. As someone who already wasn't that big on the original BFB, I didn't see much wrong with this era. Was it wowing me? Not necessarily. But I felt the smaller cast did help make the show more accessible, so I was able to ignore some of its shortcomings. I found it comforting when an episode came out. Given the time when it released and how consistently it did, it helped to have something to look forward to during those times. All that to say, I kinda get where the haters are coming from now. Now let me get something straight here. I'm not... yeah. I don't hate this season. I don't even dislike it. I've seen much worse in the past than this. However, I do find it to be middlingly average. Now, at first, the idea to split the seasons did puzzle me. Later on, though, the team said it was there to split not only the cast up, but the tones as well. The BFB side would be more comedy-oriented, and the other series would be more character-focused. This sounded like a great idea. The big cast made for some characters to get less screen time? Save the ones who got too much for their own series. And with this having more goofy newbies such veterans, you don't have to worry about developing them all too much, and just tell some good jokes. Maybe an inventive challenge in there, but ultimately the season aimed to be less ambitious. That's how it was advertised, so how could I bitch? Well, let's get its main purpose out of the way. I don't find this season all that funny. Not in a groaning way, like eyes rolling back to my skull, but I never found myself to be laughing all too much. And I think the main reason for this, the cast is kinda sauceless. What do I mean by this? Well, I feel for a good comedic season, you really need some strong personalities to make it work. And I just don't think the season got it. I mean, 4 and X are good choices for hosts, and they provide some good laughs. And some of the people do make sense to include here. Gelatin, Flower, Teardrop, Balloon, Lollipop, and Blocky. I just don't feel their appearances are, for one, as strong as they could be, and 2, complement the cast very well. The conversations they have don't really do it for me, the ways they perform challenges aren't that out there, and the chemistry just ain't hitting it for the most part. And that could be down to another issue, the writing isn't very strong. Like for most of the episodes, especially during the start, it feels by the numbers. Like they're going through the motions, the jokes suffer as a result. They feel like standard BFDI fare, and it gets very boring to watch after a while. It can surprise me, no doubt. Nothing in the humor is terrible, but for a season aiming to be more comedic, I expected a bit more. Which leads me to another thing, the season is just less ambitious. Editor's note, haha, it's me guys. So originally, I was gonna go on and on about this point, waffle on about how the season is lacking ambition. Then I looked at the original video about the split and realized that's the fucking point. It was meant to be a simpler season in general, harkening back to the original days of BFB and BFDI. And while I still think you could balance that out more, I feel as though my point is moot. Especially when I looked at the ratio of challenges and realized that there's a lot more ambitious ones than not. So long story short, egg on my face, I was wrong. However, there is a point here that I do agree with still, so I'm gonna skip to that and make no effort to naturally transition to it. Haha. And that style of writing also bleeds into the eliminations, where I feel they dropped the ball the hardest. A lot of them are just unsatisfying. Either they end abruptly, or does not give the characters any kind of goodbye or fitting send-off. And I can deal with this kind of treatment to the joke characters, Loser, Balloony, Ruby, such and such, but this also extends to BFDI veterans like Bubble or Spongy. And at a time where we didn't know if we'd ever get to see them again, the last elimination being so unceremonious just leaves a bittersweet feeling for me. But whatever, the comedy ain't strong and the show isn't as ambitious. You just described season 1, ha, I kid. But one thing that season had going for it was, well, for one, its charm, but it doesn't really help transition me to the next point, its cast. And while I described them humor-wise already, there's another factor to consider. And that's how they stand for their original counterparts. And, sorry to say, very few really improved. Now, it isn't to say they were all done dirty. Some stayed relatively the same. Blocky's as charmingly cruel as ever, and a nice little arc with Woody. Lollipop hard carried some episodes for sassy demeanor. Taco is still relatively likable. Teardrop gets to do stuff, which is cool. Ruby was able to make me laugh this season, might as well turn that 6 to a 10. And I'll go more into Woody when I eventually get to the pros this season. But when it comes to the rest of them, I was kind of let down. Let me just running around through these guys to save you your time. Balloony, who the f cares? Did he even do anything the first episode? About Rocky, what's the point? Spongy's practically pointless. Should have been pie, honestly. Yeah, I'm calling wasted salt on Spongy cake. Loser's also here.
Die!
Bubble's just straight up bad this season. Every scene is her either being a whiny bitch or a bottom. I don't care. Yeah, you could argue she was like that in the first season, or even P-split. Yeah, you could argue she was like that in the first season, or even pre-split, but they at least gave her plots, damn it! Here, she does nothing, or doesn't even bounce off on anyone. They didn't even resolve anything of her and Leafy. What are we doing here? Fire's just kind of whatever. I'll get more to his arc with him and Leafy later, but that's the only thing they got going for him. Why they split him and Gelatin up, I had no idea. His stupidity hardly shows, so he just ends up being super forgettable. Bitch could have been replaced by income tax return document and nothing would have changed. Womp womp. Leafy, same with the Bubble, also sucks. Haha, I tell a lie. She sucks, but it's not her arc. Because without it, she is just doing the exact same goddamn thing. Look, man, there's only so much I can take of her niceness and shallowness before I burst into sour cream. I've endured it long enough. Why did the voters let this bitch stay? She never does anything! Oh yeah, Gelatin and Flower are fine. None of their appearances beat the ones they had prior, but they're inoffensive. Sorta stuck in between the seasons in ambition to really put their all, which sorta sucks in Flower's case as I feel they're really going somewhere for arc in the first half, but are fine enough final 2. Oh yeah, I don't like Purple Face. Purple Face puss! Maybe it's just think of the VA talking here, as I remember finding him funny enough in the first couple watches, but he really didn't do it for me in this rewatch. And even if he did, he's in way too many episodes. Profiling did his job as a nuisance to the host better. Do my boy some justice. Okay, I rented long enough. Surely the season has some good qualities. Well, yeah, it's not BFDIA 3.
Good joke, Aloda.
For one, the visuals are pretty good. The character animation and expression work really helps complement the jokes. And though I complained about different animation styles before, it really grew on me over time. I get its appeal. Plenty of cartoons use this practice, animators using their own styles, so I see no harm in this one utilizing it. And though I prefer certain styles to others, I would never want them to commit to just one. Plus, with certain animators during the challenge scenes, it's really able to capture my attention. Plus, the background work is gorgeous. The ruins just might be the prettiest looking location in the entire show. And though the default one isn't much of a looker, it's different enough to help the season stand out. And along with the animation, the voice acting is very solid. A lot of the line deliveries are genuinely strong. Special mention goes to 4, Lollipop, and Gelatin. Speaking of characters, Woody got the biggest glow up. Not by much, and nothing compared to what the show would do later on, but I do find it genuinely very rootable. His partnership with Blocky is cute, and he's able to shine on a couple appearances. Pretty good stuff. Oh yeah, profiling is peak. I fucking love this stupid blue f***. The fake character being there the whole time is one of my favorite tropes, and it was this show that made me realize that. Them being voiced by an Animate Insanity t-shirt adds so much to it as well. Purple Face found dead in a ditch. Speaking of, good lord, I need to find ways to transition more. Fiery and Leafy's arc finally ended! Story arc over! Though the bickering got a bit old, the way it resolves is super sweet and cathartic. Didn't think it'd ever get acknowledged, but I'm glad this season finally put it to rest. If that was its entire purpose, then it was all worth it. Finally, the finale is genuinely very good. Great animation, satisfying winner, and it all ends in a very sweet way. I was like the Arc 4 has, and the lesson about running away from your problems can also affect those you hurt. Even if 4 maybe got off a little too easy. I mean, bro is a body count rivaling Chris McClain, and a stern talking to from Jelly Boy is all they get? Before I had to lose Meepad to learn his lesson, I'm just saying, put the pieces together, burn the child! Oh yeah, and the announcer thing coming back made me pog. So overall, yeah, it's quite a mixed bag. Its strong qualities aren't ones that I'd go back to, but I would never call it terrible. It's a lot like Total Drama Revenge of the Island for me. I swear I'm going somewhere with that. Well, nothing in it dazzled me, writing's noticeably weaker, and some of it is just plain mid. I can still find a good amount to like in it. Enough to not write the entire season off as a waste of time. It gave me some laughs, some pretty visuals, some of the characters were nice to see again, and it was a fine enough holdover for what's to come.
Take 2!
Here we have the biggest shakeup of the entire series. Not just one little show, but
2!
When you bake a cake,
and where the prior was aiming to be more comedic and low stakes, this one was said to be more ambitious and dramatic. And man, when they said all that, they weren't whistling Dixies. No sir. This is peak BFDI. It delivers on everything I could ask for. The stakes are constantly raised, the challenge is simple but engaging, and the characters are at their most compelling. The cast in this show slaps. Usually of the two object shows I was into, I'd always admit that BFDI had the weaker cast. Not a bad roster, but they were never all that fleshed out or had any serious arcs to overcome. And I didn't need that, as some shows can still be charming without complex characters. And that's usually what I came to the show for. Charming misadventures with some great challenge execution. And the cast was able to complement all of that excellently at their simplicity, not in spite of it. But forget what I just said, because this season floored me with its character writing. And not through its complexity, quantity, but its ability to make each character rootable and likable. A lot of them got huge glow-ups, it's insane. Rather that be through the arcs that elevate characters out of the limelight, like Robot Flower, Fanny, Black Hole, Pencil, Basketball, and Pen, giving them stuff to do or a team to complement them like Price Tag, Book, Marker, Tree, and Winner, or just give them an amazing shtick and bit, like Yellowface and Pillow, the GOAT. All of them are able to stand out and get me to vote for each of them come elimination time. And for a cast of 44, that's no small feat. They really knew what characters to keep and which to ditch, and I give them credit for making the ones who stayed all memorable in different ways. And I love their confidence in their cast too. They take them all super seriously without a hint of irony. Pen's inability to take initiative towards his emotions, Pencil's PTSD and toxicity towards her alliance is done in a very compelling way. I love the little arc Robot Flower has and what it says about how the show perceives her at first. Winner gets a pretty good one too with their relationship with Loser, and hell, 2 is able to get a good one with Gady of all characters. There's some smaller ones I appreciate too, like the relationships between Golf Ball and Donut, Lion Pen, Eraser and Bottle, and Snowball and Grassy. It really made me worry about each elimination when it comes to who'd leave. Legit, I pogged when Donut was declared safe and felt betrayal at Eraser leaving. The character writing is that good. But that's not all, because the writing in this show also deserves a mention. One compliment I can always give this season, even early on, is that it never stagnated. They were always trying to top themselves and played with the plot structure each episode. Like sure, maybe the first 4 and 5 can follow the structure a bit too much, but it still has some cute challenges and good character stuff for me to forgive it. But when it picks up, it never lets down. Rather than be through shaking the episode format with zombies or freak weather events, new hosts change the dynamic around a bit like Foreign X or Bottle, exploring tons of new lands and locales each episode, or the biggest addition the series has ever added, a villain. The addition of one really solidified this season as a banger. Her presence added something never before seen by the show since: mystery. Since the original team swap in episode 12, her appearances constantly left the audience guessing. With her list of contestants, contracts to sign, absence among the other numbers, or this alien world she inhabits, you're always left wondering what her goal ultimately is. And I love that. Each appearance just left me wanting more. And I feel that the more she appears, the less we know about her intentions. The mystery they build with her is fantastically executed. And the way she's able to raise the stakes as well, with her controlling certain parts of the show and causing it to fracture just to use it as leverage. It's spectacular. Plus, One herself is a great presence as well. The way she's able to coax almost everyone, dangling their desires to their face, and the utter apathy towards her actions among the show is a blast to watch. The charisma the VA brings also helps. She's a constant delight. She really does it all, and for her latest crash out insinuating a future showdown, I am excited to see how she messes with the series next. Another compliment I give to the writing is the challenges. They are always great at giving characters both motivation and time to interact. Rather than be for the challenges themselves, causing them to work together, allowing their dynamics to shine, or the contest naturally leaving time for the characters to breathe and have their moments. Like, I'm not while reading this. It never feels too abrupt, and the pacing in each of them never slows down. They also carry some of the action scenes over from B.F.B, with most of them leading to an epic finish. And what complements this are the visuals. I'll be upfront. This is the best BFDI has ever looked. Whatever qualms I have with the art style in episode 1 are all but evaporated. They have finally perfected the look that the series was meant to have. The character animation among each animator is consistently fluid, comedic, and full of speed when it needs to. The style changes don't feel as jarring anymore, with each of them bringing their own flair. And they know which scene to give them, as the action in this show was on another level. They are exciting, vibrant, the music during them sells the moments. Along with the writing, they are all able to add this spark this series has been looking for. The backgrounds also just pop as well, especially when they go to distant lands. They're full of vibrant colors and cool landscapes that help the animation stand out. They have perfected the limelight style of these, and each location is memorable and striking. The lighting pops whenever a scene calls for it, the boarding is fantastic during the challenge scenes, and overall, each episode manages to wow me with their visual spectacle. The music by Ben also deserves a mention. This shit makes certain scenes. Another amazing talent they were able to get onto the team. Alright, that stuff's cool and all, but I'm just conditioned that prevents me from calling something good for more than 5 minutes. Time to bitch, cause yeah, I have a couple qualms, mostly in the first 5 episodes. For one, the eliminations early on suck. You can easily tell which characters among the cast the team did not care about, and their goodbyes are given so little fanfare. Like, okay, some are part of the bit, like Pie and Clock, but I cannot tell you how Belle, Eggy, Saw, Cake, or Neely's went. They were that unsanctimonious. Not helping is the elimination method being less flashy than before, so I'm always left underwhelmed by these. That is, until Belle. That's when they start getting good. Now that the short characters are gone, the rest are allowed to have moments to say their goodbyes. And they are great moments, whether serious or comedic. But it just didn't start out that way. Now that I'm on it, the series starts out a little slow too. Not saying I should always hit home runs all the time, but considering how great the two-parter and episodes that preceded it were, I was left wanting a little more out of this first batch. They aren't bad or boring per se, just standard, which leads to them not being that rewatchable compared to the rest. They have their moments, I just wish it was left more consistent. Also, why the hell is Teardrop even here? Well, she was in the final 3 last season. Did y'all not have your thrill? I don't hate TD, at least not as much as some others would, but I really don't see the vision of having her on. Her being on a team of her own was a neat gimmick. I didn't mind seeing how she got through each challenge, but Frost was able to do that better later on anyway. Her feud of Eraser was fun, but he later got a funny one with Bottle. She just feels a bit unnecessary to the overall picture, which normally I wouldn't mind, but if a cast as good as this one, a straggler like her will always feel off-putting. Would you believe me if I said that's all I had to bitch? Yeah, this season really picked up after a bit, and I have pretty much nothing bad to say about where it's heading. I have to commend Sam on soloing this season as good as he did. And Niall, and sometimes Sutton. I can only imagine the burden of having to carry something this hyped up on his back. And I saw some of you calling him out for not bringing out the goods in the middle half. Like, no shit, he's not giving us a tree scene from episode 13. He's taking his time, damn it. Luckily, he proved himself more than capable of leading the series to new heights. And the legendary writing credits he had before, like,
"Oh, Keemstar, you little chubby wubby woo-woo."
Did we really have any doubts? Besides, it was because of him that 4 now scaled to Kirby. Thanks to this team.
Oh, what's happening?
8 power scaling grand.
Again.
Okay, show of hands. Who the hell saw this one coming? Quite you. Like, you really had to be there in 2023. The hype for this mystery episode 6 was huge. It was the biggest talking point among the community for a time. Really in Smash type shit. Then just to see it pop up in our subscription feeds out of nowhere, it was one of the most surreal experiences I've had in a bit. Even more surreal, I fucking hated BFDIA. I thought it sucked ass. I made that much no secret, with my diss to it in the B.F.B. video and all. But I guess now it's obsolete, this season is great. Yeah, I've been won over, these episodes are top tier. The highs this show get are genuinely some of the biggest of the entire series. The glow up this series got was insane. One aspect that got the biggest upgrade to me is the comedy. This is the funniest BFDI has ever been. The lines are great, the slapstick is at its sharpest, the dynamics are at their best, and the VAs know how to bring out the best in all of it. And what I find the most impressive is that they're able to take the weakest aspect of the original 5 episodes, the mean-spirited tone, and make it the strongest aspect of the comedy. These characters have some real spice to them, more so than any other season. They'll all play underhanded, insult each other, fight and kill, whatever it takes. And they made it all work. Mainly through the balance, which is something I was looking for in the first batch. Because, keep in mind, I love being characters, but I also love our energy, too much of it then, and that's what the tone felt like for me at first. Just a bunch of assholes acting like assholes to each other with no reprieve. You hear it on episode 3? Yeah, I'm talking to you.
Good job.
But this season was able to finally get that balance. Rather it be through giving characters motivations to justify their actions, like Pin, Tennis Ball, having some nice characters who can still have a little sass like Needle, Bomby, or Coiny, or just plain assholes with some great moments like Fries, and that's it, he's the go, Fries is the best, or give the wall. And when they all interact together, you get some fantastic chemistry. And furthermore, the spice adds to the comedy. It's practically its identity. And for what was my biggest gripe, that's a huge accomplishment. and a comedy is not all this season offers, and the challenges are almost all top tier. Some of the greatest ideas this show has ever come up with. They make these episodes. Rather it be for the challenges themselves having great ideas that allow the contestants to give it their all, like in 14, 15, 18, and 20, simple challenges that allow the dynamics to really shine and leave room for great comedy like 7, 9, 16, and 19, or the rest. The simple rules they'll add to some of these almost make it feel like a board game. They're simple enough for you to understand, but leave so much freedom for the cast to compete in them in different ways. And that's what makes so many of these episodes rewatchable. Watching the different ways they play around the challenges, each contestant using different strategies to compete in them, or just how the cast bounces off each other while they compete. It's all a blast to watch. And another aspect that adds fun to these challenges are the team swaps. I just like how willing the crew is to split up the cast and make ways for different dynamics. It's a bold choice, but it works out really, really well. The dynamics they choose all add to these challenges and make them as fun as they are. The different hosts also play into this. This is the loosest season of the entire series, and they make that aspect the most fun part about it. Plus, the animation during these challenge scenes are all excellent. Rather than be the boarding, elevating the scale of the scenes, the dynamic lighting and striking backgrounds, raising the stakes near the end of it, or the pure speed of which these characters move during them, it all makes for the best endings of the entire show. And going into that, though it complimented TPOT style to no end, I never claimed it was my favorite, because as a 2015 Object Show fan, this style has peaked to me. I was always obsessed with how the animation got a huge style change in episode 5E, and then it just abandoned it for doodle shit. Again, over it now, but I was always yearning to see those straight limbs and shading under the mouths once more. And man, was Patience ever in my favor. They're back! Yeah, I love the way this show looks. The pure use of assets and tweens was always something I loved, and it's great seeing it evolve to where it is now. The character animation in this show is the best. The way they're able to squash and stretch these assets, widen their eyes and add little details to the face, the shifting mouths, all of this is peak Object Show animation, which makes sense given the talent they got working on the show. Veterans who know how to push this style to make some great physical comedy and iconic expressions. Plus, they're not afraid to really bend and move these characters, destroying their bodies like never before. It also extends to stuff outside the main cast, like the creatures they'd encounter or the machines they'd use. The backgrounds in this show stand out to me the most. The mix of the B.F.B. TPOT line style of gorgeous color work and the detailed and expansive work BFDIA and B.F.B. was doing all make for the best scenery the show has ever had. Each location is pure eye candy, with the rich detail and beautiful colors all coming together expertly. Huge compliments to the team there. They help make these episodes look as good as they do. Another thing, the cast in this show is just classic. You all know these characters, and this show does them all about as great as you can ask for. A ton of them are putting their all and making their presence known. Special mention goes to Pin's villain arc, balancing her rootable motivations with raw acts of apathy. This is her at her most evil and vindictive, and yet I can never find myself to hate her. They make her arc at the beginning that strong. Even if it had maybe the dumbest catalyst to keep bringing up, fuck your swing! I want my ass! I want my ass!
Wrong, son!
Her relationship with Coiny as well is greatly executed. Their team up was always the best part of the first half, and they expand on it really well, showing both their attachment to each other, yet still keeping their more competitive and sassy sides. It makes for such a great pair-up. Speaking of though, did I ever mention my favorite character in the franchise is Coiny? Ever since I rocked this bitch on Agario, I've always had a fixation on this little guy. Rather him being petty as hell to fiery in the first season, or extremely likable and fun to watch in BFB and TPOT. Also, he was in B.F.B. I've really come to like this character a ton over time, and that all started thanks to his solo game in BFDIA. Him being the one keeping Mobunch alive really solidified him as top tier. He's at his most motivated, competitive, and rootable during the rise of this team. And through his relationship with Pin, we get some depth in there too. Not Suitcase or Liam tier, but I do feel for him when trying to be there for Pin during the middle half, making the betrayal in episode 18 hit that much harder. I love how they played this later on too. Him being chill about it on the outside and playing the game, but still harboring that resentment, which makes the fracture by episode 20 feel all the more tragic. But really, what I love about him the most is that he's able to do all of that but still being really funny. I love how underhanded he can be, his sassy remarks, and whenever they team him up with other woe bunchers. And if Ted's predictions of him making the final 2 are correct, I am excited to see where to take him from here. And really, I could gush about the rest of the cast, Tennis Ball's heel turn near the end of the series, Nichols' buffoonery being dialed up to make some good scenes, Needle's arc about standing up for herself is done really well, Book sticking to her morals and being the only nice contestant still going, and Leafy coming back more villainous than ever. Really, I could go over all that, but Fries is the best. He steals the show. I love him. His remarks, his apathy, his weird violent tendencies, and his general not giving a single attitude is a constant delight. I could go on about it all day, really, but I feel I only need to play this clip for you to get the gist.
And the person eliminated is... Rise!
Whatever.
King there, top tier. Oh yeah, the season also has my 2 favorite episodes of the whole series. Episode 13 plays the BFDIA's loose nature to its absolute extreme, as we just had the eliminated contestants doing their thing in Yo-Yo City. I have a feeling all of these scenes were scrapped IDFB episodes, but a small cast of misfits are able to make these small scenes fun to watch. The jokes are pretty good throughout, but the real highlight comes through their emotional moments. That's right, we got drama on this bitch. Step aside, Natalie Marin I movie, we got trees! But not for real. Coiney's search for Pin in this episode is so good. Pin's visions to Coiney, though a tad out there for this show, makes her such a good motivator. And Coiney's drive is really felt. It's the climax to all the shit Pin has been getting since the removal of her limbs. And it all makes for a great climax to the episode. Couple that with one of the most iconic frames of the series, and you got an amazing turn for both their characters. The tree scene also deserves a mention as well. The visual storytelling on display here is fantastic. But if I'm being honest, I gotta give it episode 18. Simply for having nothing but banger moments after banger moments. The challenge is thrilling. Each of the cast able to have their moment to shine. The animation on display here is constantly popping off. The jokes are great, and the mad dash at the end is the most hype I've ever felt watching this show. It's the one I put on the most since it came out, and it still gets me. Pin's race to the top of the end there, top 3 moment for me. Raw as episode. Take the damn crap. Okay, crowns up. Time for the cons. For starters, the episode output. Remember all that stuff I said about TPOT never stagnating and constantly topping itself? Yeah, that ain't the case here. The episode output, while never bad, is pretty consistent at the start. You get the occasional banger and great moment, but for the most part, it was pretty standard. Good standard. I enjoyed my time with it all, except for the flower one, that one kind of blew, but most didn't floor me. And even after episode 13, you have a stretch of bangers, no doubt, but then you have that one good one that breaks the momentum. It feels like whenever they top themselves, they need like an episode or 2 to get that momentum back. And couple of that, the gap between episodes, it could be a bit of a letdown to get one that's just pretty good. But again, it's fine. Count this as a nitpick, because when they release a banger, it goes hard. No, that's the end of my point. Which sucks for me because that's all I have to bitch. It's funny too because back in 2021, I was planning to pummel this season down. Make a whole ass video. I was the middle child and no one likes it. It's your fault, Dada, because you turned out wrong. So to see what eventually became of it, I look back and laugh at classic stupid Aloda. Like the season ain't perfect, but considering what it was following, it's about the way there. And in a lot of ways, it's the best season of the show. Its highs are at their highest, the humor is at its best, its creative ideas are at their grandest, and the cast, when all fleshed out, are at their most fun to watch. But I suppose when it comes to which one I prefer, I see it a lot like SpongeBob Season 2 and 3, where one has all the top bangers, the other dishes them out more consistently.
And from the throne of my couch wisdom, deliver that one I want. Take it home with ya.
I take the latter, but really at that point, does it matter? They're both perfect. There are no sides. It's BFDI. You know, it's funny, I was planning to make this exact video all the way back in 2021, right when BFB was at its end, because for where I was standing, BFB was improving. The split seemed to nullify all my problems with the first half, and it was on the right track. Man, would I have love to see that video now. With that and the BFDIA video, I just about have all the predictive scales of Time in the Shadows. No one? I'm unappreciated my time. Because man, this series had the glow up of the decade after all that. While B.F.B wasn't my thing these days, if it maybe got 4 years of peak, I'd do it all again. I mean, no hyperbole when I say we are currently at a BFDI renaissance, where the team of Jack and Jelly are at their A game and producing hit after hit. Fans growing by the numbers and making all the VIP tickets at Florida and Seattle sell out during my 8-hour shift, you savages! And I have nothing but high hopes for what they do next. Ah, shoot, I forgot about BFDI minis. Sequel?